Hi there and welcome to Shooting and Country TV. I'm at the Chobham Range with Steve Long here, and basically we're here to test out the new Accuracy International rifle, Zeiss scope and Lapua ammunition. It's an amazing location. We're stretching out to probably, well, Steve will tell us, but probably over 1,200 yards in this particular spot, and I'll let Steve tell you a little bit more about the range.
Yes, indeed. No, it's a fantastic location. We've been operating here probably about 3.5 years now. Going back, it was originally MOD, general purpose machine gun, anti-tanking and sniper ranging, and it's one of those places that you tend to come to, full of surprises. It's a microclimate in terms of the weather conditions, being the fact that it's on top of a range, and it's quite taxing and challenging even for the best shooters, and that's probably one of the most attractive things here and why people return so frequently.
First job of the day, check the zero. We sent the scope down to AI. They'd mounted it on the rifle and obviously tested with the ammunition, so we knew the height above the bore for the scope, and we knew the muzzle velocity, so we could start doing the basic ballistics. But obviously on the day you need to double check that, and we had a target, electronic target, 150 meters downrange, and we used that just to double check everything was squared away before we started moving out to longer range. Okay, we're just about to finish off the zeroing process. I'm going to have a couple more shots on the steel. It looks to be about 150 meters away, but when we're good to go with that, we'll get Alice in and she can tell us a little bit more about this lovely rifle. Right, I think we're all good. Well, that's the zeroing process complete. I'm happy. We're bang on at 150 yards. And Alice here from Accuracy International is going to tell us all about this amazing new rifle.
Right, so this is the Accuracy International ATX rifle in 6.5 Creedmoor, released about 2 years ago. Currently it has the 26-inch cut barrel made by Accuracy International with our muzzle brake. We have the patented key slot system, which can take Picatinny rails or weights. It's got the full length bridge on there, the Arca RRS rail underneath for bipods, but it also has key slot. It's the standard AT-AX bolt action that we have for our other rifles, and competition trigger, which is adjustable for weight, and the retrofittable hinge to make it a folding stock, adjustable cheek piece and length of bolt.
Right. And up top we have the Zeiss S3 scope, which we've had on this rifle for the initial testing, and it's working lovely really. It's very, very clear, and I think Alice has managed to negotiate a slightly extended load on that one. But it's a great combination, and hopefully we'll see how far we can get out today.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I'm just enjoying the scope. Yeah.
Okay, we've got the rifle, we've got the scope, but a key ingredient in the equation is obviously the ammunition. We've got this 136 grain Lapua ammunition. It's shooting absolutely lovely so far. We're zeroed. We're probably going to stretch out to initially to around the 300 meter mark, 300 yards, that sort of thing, and then we'll step out in stages until we get out to around 1,200 yards. First target for the day, 300 to around 350 meters.
Same again, it's still hitting right hand edge.
A little bit more. I've got the left edge of the target.
Yep.
Firing.
Better. Impact.
This was really an opportunity for me to get used to the trigger, get used to the rifle, get over some nerves and basically hit some steel. Is it more or less centre there, Alice, or a little bit still?
Fire again so I could just double check, but I think it was.
Okay, firing.
Following.
Not a great amount of dial needed at that sort of distance. At 150 metres zero, you could essentially just hold top half on the target, maybe left edge for wind, right edge, depending on the wind direction, obviously. But it was really an opportunity for me to get my feet wet and get used to the gun. Okay, we're done at 312 there. We're going to push out to about 350, but it's not a great huge change. So what we'll do is just just hold over a little bit, and hopefully we'll make that shot, and we move out to probably 500 after that. Okay, we're going to stretch things out a little bit further now. We're on target 11, which is 607 yards or 555 metres. We do need to start dialing at this stage, and for that we need the Kestrel. That's going to give us some accurate windage and of course the elevation. Luckily it's got nice big numbers on these turrets, so it's quite an easy dial. We've got 0.5 on the windage and we need 3.8 on the elevation. Again, lovely clean clicks, very straightforward in terms of where you are in regard to dial, and we should be good to go for 555 metres.
Impact. Perfect.
Clang. Right, one more to make me feel better about it. Recoil is very linear, it's coming straight back into your shoulder. I'm having no problem tracking the shot down range. Very impressive so far, and not everybody knows the Accuracy International was the first company to develop a chassis rifle. And also another tidbit of information which I didn't realise myself, AICS mags, Accuracy International chassis system. Who knew? Next target, 600 yards I think it was. At this point you've got to pay much closer attention to the wind, obviously. Any errors you've made in terms of measurements, so scope height, muzzle velocity, that kind of thing, that's going to impact the shots quite a lot. If you've not monitored your ammunition, if you've left it out in the sun, powder temperature can have a really big impact, you know, a couple of feet perhaps. If you've zeroed on a colder day and you leave your ammo out in the sunshine, then you come to shoot, you're shooting high, it's like, must have knocked the rifle. It's almost always powder temperature is changed dramatically, and that does have a big effect. But still relatively straightforward shots. Alice and the team were helping me, you know, call the wind and so on and so forth. So we were hitting steel very regularly, but the finer points do matter, and this is where you start to concentrate. Okay, we're really starting to stretch things out a little bit now. We're out to 838 yards, I think it was, something of that order. It's getting out there. It's getting a bit of a distance. We've put on 0.8 for the wind, and we're up to 6.5 in terms of elevation. And it's this kind of distance you really start to appreciate the ammo a little bit. You do need very consistent ammo when you're getting out to long range. In terms of muzzle velocity, we're at 2794 feet per second, with a very low extreme spread, which is, you know, for factory ammo is vital, and it's absolutely essential for this sort of long range shooting. But so far it's going swimmingly, and we'll see how we get on at 800 plus.
Impact.
Right, well, we're getting out there a little bit now. We're over 800 yards, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's getting out to a distance. At this sort of range you start to see the benefits of the sort of system as a whole, really. Obviously the rifle's doing its job, as indeed is the scope. We're getting a little bit of mirage as we go further out, but it's still very, very clear, and the ammunition is flying straight and true. For factory ammo, it's doing a superb job. We're getting consistent hits at this range without too much difficulty. And I've got my spotter in the background, Alice from Accuracy International. She's my chaperone and instructor for the day, and she's calling the shots and doing the hard work. All I'm doing is pulling the trigger. But so far it's a superb day. Firing.
Impact.
Right, so we really have stretched things out now. We're at 1,067 yards. My personal best, I must admit, the furthest I've shot, and I'd love to take the credit, but really it's the kit. The rifle's been superb, as indeed is the scope. And the ammo, of course, we've got a slight problem because it's such a beautiful day, which is never usually a problem. There's quite a lot of mirage out there, so it's quite difficult at these extended ranges, but we're still getting some impacts at that sort of distance. And for essentially a novice on a system he's not particularly familiar with, and a right-handed one, you can't complain really, can you? It's been a superb day and some superb results really. Next distance, 1,000 yards and beyond, certainly the farthest distance I'd shot a rifle. Yeah, great fun, really interesting, really challenging. The wind is everything, but there's also an awful lot more going on. You've got the mirage, you've got all kinds of things that come into play. One of the key ones that doesn't really get a lot of press a lot of time is something called aerodynamic jump. Well, that's what Richard Utting calls it. I was lucky enough to do a long range precision shooting course with him a few years ago, and the effect is quite dramatic. It can be like 1 MOA, so at 1,000 yards, at 1,200 yards, should I say, you're looking at a foot of difference perhaps, just because of this one effect. And essentially what it is it's a little bit like spin drift, but essentially as the bullet leaves the rifle, it's rotating obviously, and if the wind is coming in from your right, it will effectively climb the wind over time. And inversely, if you turn around in the opposite direction, it will roll down the wind. And this can be a 2 foot difference really, depending on which way the wind's blowing, strength of wind and that kind of thing. So that has to be factored in. Luckily on modern kind of ballistic apps, all of this is done in the background for you, but you'd be looking at a quite severe miss sometimes without that kind of help these apps do provide. The last one, and the Hollywood producer's favourite, is obviously the Coriolis effect. So at that distance there's quite a flight time on the bullet, and it can be as much as half MOA, so 1,200 yards make a difference of maybe 6 inches in a typical wind. Maybe more, less, obviously, perhaps on the strength of the wind, but basically the premise is you take the shot and the entire planet moves slightly during the flight time of the bullet. So in a way you're shooting at a moving target, but that has to be factored in as well. But we got there in the end. We shot a few targets at 1,000 and managed to get out to 1,238 yards and hit some steel there. So great result for me, a real education, and I hope you enjoyed it. The combination of the Zeiss scope, the ATX rifle and the Lapua ammunition is really it's an off-the-shelf solution if you want to get into PRS or precision rifle shooting. It's a great combination. When you put the system together, you're up and running. You can start shooting straight away. Well, that's it. We're going to wrap it up for today. We've gone out to an amazing distance, certainly an amazing distance for me. We're well over 1,000 yards. And the system's just worked incredibly well. Essentially a simple device, but consistency is the main thing, and this rifle just shoots and shoots and shoots. Nothing clever, no gizmos and gadgets, it just does the job time and time again. And the same again for the scope. And being a man of a certain age, I do appreciate the larger dials on here. It's easy to dial in over these sort of distances, and you can shoot from 150 meters here out to 1,200, and this scope definitely helps in that regard, as indeed does the ammunition. So we've got a great combination, great finish ammo. This is factory ammo, not reloads, not hand loads, nothing like that. It's out of the box and it's reaching out over 1,000 yards, which that's more than good enough for me. So Finland for the ammo, Germany for the optics, and of course the UK for the rifle. It's a great international combination, and it's worked really well today. Thank you to the NRA of the UK for basically putting up with us for the day. We've had a fantastic opportunity to shoot over this incredible Chobham Ridge Range. It really is an incredible facility, and what can I say? It's been a hell of a day, and one I'll not forget.